those that are sexually assaulted in this country. The numbers have tripled over the last number of years. We're actually at a state where there's nearly a 26% rise in sexual assault. And we're here to expose, this is the sound of silence. And that is what's kept silent from Gangster House to the justice system to the courts. We are tired of victims being victimised over and over again by not getting the justice they deserve. And we're calling on Waterford Gardaí and the Gardaí all over this country to stand by those that have been sexually assaulted and raped in this country. We feel as victims that these people are just walking our streets and there is no accountability from anybody in this country. And victims have been left with whole families shattered from this devastation. And we are aware now that there's another 30,000 undocumented, illegal invaders coming into this country. We have our own problems. We have an amount of cases of sexual assault and rape in this country. Last week alone, there was nearly 4 abductions of young children in this country, and our mainstream media is staying quiet. Well, we will not be silenced. I am Melissa O'Neill. I am your candidate in Waterford, independent nationalist, and we are here to tell the people of Waterford we will not step down. We will not be silenced. This week you will see on the front of the News and Star a victim, a rape victim that was raped in this town and left for dead. A whole year of investigations. That victim is here today and she wants you to hear her voice that she is not being given by the mainstream media. I would like to introduce one of the bravest women I have ever met in my lifetime. Sabrina. Hey.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Halligan. I was raped last year on the streets of Waterford, being basically left for dead. I walked through my doors, my children witnessed it. I was told the perpetrator had been caught that night, and he was arrested. I was brought home. Evidence were taken from me, all my clothes and all that. The following morning, then I was taken to Waterford Regional Hospital, where a rape kit was taken. And for the year I was blank. My life has been destroyed, and the only way I had out of it was the end of my life. Still today I carry the scars from cutting myself up, trying to kill myself, trying to come off the bridge. So this have impacted my life and my children. And then I was told last Monday, that the perpetrator would not be prosecuted for what he done to me. Now, where it happened, there was 18 cameras around where it had happened to me. So that's proper evidence. They have the evidence. And when I asked for my rape kit, they told me no. So I still have no evidence. I still have no justice. So the Waterford Gardaí once again have covered up a case of a rape victim, and they're not trained even to deal with traumatised people like us. Waterford Gardaí have blood on their hands, and they should hang their head in shame. And anyone out there that is a victim, speak before it's too late, because the Irish system, God forgive me, is fucked up. And unless we stand and hear our voices, there's nothing going to be done. That perpetrator was protected for his safety before my safety was protected. So the Waterford Gardaí have an awful lot to answer for in Waterford City.
Well done. Well done, Sabrina. A very brave lady to stand up. A rape victim where there's no justice. We see this every day of the week in this country. I myself have been sexually assaulted. He walked as well 2 years ago, dragged out of my car over in Ferrybank. He also walked. Although he did get a 4-month prison sentence, he got left off, and I wasn't told by the Gardaí until he ran up to my car while I was parked at the traffic lights. That's how I knew he was still out. So we need a change in this country. We need to protect our children. This is unbelievable what's going on, and it's not just the women and the girls, it's the boys are being raped also. And this is a very important message that I need to put out, that the amount of rapes on young teenage boys is just rising beyond belief. I think it's over 18% now are actually teenage boys that are being raped in this country. Unfortunately, we don't have a system that's accountable. So we found out there recently that Frances Fitzgerald, if any of you remember Frances, who had to step down as a TD because she covered up the story of the whistleblower guard, Maurice McCabe, and she was thrown off her TD seat. She ended up being promoted over to the EU. So for the last 2 years, Fine Gael, Frances Fitzgerald, sat on a committee in the European Parliament, and for 2 whole years they were putting together what's called a domestic act. And for 2 whole years they could not define the word rape. So they've left it out of the domestic act for all 27 countries that are in the EU. The word rape they cannot define. Remember, they couldn't define woman. They couldn't define mother. They couldn't define family. And we beat them on that because 79% of the Irish people said no. We're asking you again to vote these people out. I do not want anyone standing over in the EU or above in Gangster House that cannot define the word rape. Because if there is no definition, there is no justice. And we also have here today the Ireland South European candidate, nationalist, Irish Freedom Party, Michael Leahy, is going to come up and speak. And I'm asking you to give Michael Leahy your #1 vote for Ireland South, because he knows the definition of woman. He knows the definition of rape. He knows the definition of family. And he knows there's 2 genders. So I'd like to welcome Michael Leahy to... Where is he gone? Sorry, he's just chatting there. But I'm standing myself. It's my 5th stand. I'm an independent. And I'll be standing in from Tramore to Waterford City West. And I will be a strong voice for you. My name is Melissa O'Neill, and we will not step down. We will not be silenced. We will not be censored. We are here for all those that are vaccine damaged. We are now aware there's 18,000 excess deaths of the vaccine. So please, people, no to mandatory vaccination. Please, we know the ingredients. AstraZeneca has been pulled worldwide from the amount of deaths. You really have to start listening to us. Please protect your children. And as I said, there's another 30,000 illegal, undocumented migrants coming into this country before the end of this year. At the moment, I think we have something like 9,000 just from countries that are safe countries. Why are they here with no documents, unvetted, illegal? 9,000 of them. From places like, Nigeria now has even been, we're told it's safe. So why can we not get a doctor's appointment? I'm 5th time cancer diagnosed, and I'm still willing to stand up because I can't get a GP. Here in Waterford, I was left 3 months without a GP, and it nearly cost me my life. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody else. I was out in the A&E this week. I was taken out of my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, told to go home. At 3 o'clock in the morning. Ireland is full. There is no places for our children in schools. My son now is on his third attempt to get into a college here in Waterford. Third attempt, he had all the points. UK and non-nationalists get the college places before the Irish children. You import the third world, you end up with the third world. Garamila Mahagut. I'd just like to introduce an absolute amazing lady. She's travelled here from Meath. She's been on the road with me for 5 years, warning people about the vaccination and the damage of it. So I'm just going to let Adele introduce herself. She's travelled by bus and train here today to speak to people in Waterford.
Garamila Mahagut. Well done. And thank you so much for the invitation here to Waterford. But I can tell you, people here in Waterford, this is not a Waterford problem. This is not a Wicklow problem. This is not a Wexford problem. This is not a Kerry problem. This is not a Cork problem. This is an Irish problem. Your country, whether you realise it or not, thank you, your country of era, is now under attack. You are now in a warlike situation. Your government are not telling you. Your mainstream media are not telling you. But people like Melissa and John and people, many people around the country now standing as independents are here to tell you, as you pretend and bury your heads, the time for soft soaping is over. You, people of Ireland, people of Era, are under attack. Your children are under attack. Your culture is under attack. Your young women are under attack. Your young men are under attack. Whether it be economic attack, whether it be a sexual attack, whether it be emotional attack, whether it be a spiritual attack, you are under attack. If you haven't noticed, with all due respect, I don't know where you've been for the last couple of years. I and volunteers like me have stood at Pfizer for 2 years. 2 years to get the information out to the people. Pfizer with 30 pages of side effects. More or less to say, I was a healthcare worker. And I left my job because of this, because you deserve the truth. It's not my truth, it's your truth. It's not my information, it's your information. And the responsibility is not on me, or Melissa, or Michael, or John. The responsibility is now on you people to go out, find your information, and see where the truth lies. We have 15,000 homeless Irish people, 4,000 of them are children. More likely we have 100,000 homeless Irish people. And yet our borders are being flooded by unvetted, undocumented, middle-aged, military-aged men. Why? It's time to wake up, as I said. I'm here from County Meath. I'm standing in County Meath, exactly like Melissa, standing up to tell you the truth. It takes massive courage from the survivor of the sexual attack to come out here, and I think she deserves a massive respect. And all these crimes are being hidden by the mainstream media. As Melissa said last week in Dublin, there was 3 attempts to take children from their parents. That has all been covered up. So all I'm here to tell you is, it is not the Meath problem, it is not a Cavan problem, it's all of your problem. All of your problem now. And the decisions you make in the next weeks and months are going to determine your life, your children's lives, and your grandchildren's lives, because they're coming for the children in the schools with their ideology, with their breaking down of boundaries so that you'll accept anything. Parents are accepting anything. They're allowing their children to be exposed in libraries to disgraceful. And I used to teach in libraries, and years ago, if children had been exposed to that kind of literature, I would have been in prison. And now parents are allowing their children, and it is your responsibility, they're allowing their children to be exposed to pornographic material. So I thank you for your time. I'm here on a wake-up call, and I'm here to tell you, as I've said, and I'm going to reiterate again, the decisions you make now, in the next weeks, in the next months, are going to determine the rest of your lives, your children's lives, and your grandchildren's lives. So thank you for listening, and again I want to thank people for standing up here today, because it most certainly is not easy. So God bless you all. I'm sorry if I'm harsh. And mammy is always harsh, and an Irish mammy is always more harsh. So take care, mind yourselves, and make good choices, as I've always told my children. God bless you all. Take care.
Thank you, Adele. And Adele, come all the way down. Please give Adele your #1 vote in Meath. #1, amazing, amazing lady. And that's what this is about. It's about minding the family and the people of Ireland and putting the Irish people first. Now, I'm just going to let Michael come in. Michael's your EU Irish South, Ireland South candidate for the European elections. And I'm asking everyone in Waterford to give this gentleman that will go out there and stand and be a voice for Ireland, that knows the definition of woman, that knows the definition of mother, that knows the definition of what an Irish family is.
Thank you so much, Melissa, and it's a great honour to be here in Waterford. I'm running for the Ireland South constituency on behalf of the Irish Freedom Party. A number of very important points have been made there. First is in regard to the extent of rape in this country and its underreporting. And I'm reminded of the dreadful events in Bradford in the north of England, where rape is not properly investigated for political and cultural reasons. And we're getting to that stage in Ireland as well. Our RTE will not report when rapes and abductions take place as a result of immigration. That is very, very dangerous. If we allow something as serious as that to be determined by culture and determined by political prejudice, we are asking for real trouble. Another point that has been made there is in regard to the vaccine injuries. The truth is now finally coming out. I have been here since 2020. I was the very first politician to call for an end to the lockdowns. I said they were not necessary. I very much questioned the vaccine rollout. The information that was given to the all-party committee, chaired by Michael McNamara, was that it was not necessary to have a mass vaccine rollout at the time, given the very limited numbers of deaths that were caused by COVID. Mr McNamara, unfortunately, did not act on that. He backed away from it. He is now my opponent in the European Parliament election, and I think if you want to know whether he will act, you should look at his record on this matter. I will call in the European Parliament for a full Europe-wide investigation into how the COVID situation was handled, because I believe the way it was handled both during lockdowns ended in the unnecessary deaths and the immiseration of innocent people. The greatest fear that people have in their lives is that they will die alone. We forced many elderly people to die without the succour and comfort of their relatives and their friends and family. That was a dreadful thing to do. Every aspect of our democracy, every aspect of our civil and religious liberties were attacked during the COVID period, and our courts and our government stood on their hands and did not defend us. We need to investigate that, and we need to ensure that nothing like that is ever allowed to happen again, because I can assure you that Big Pharma are coming. They're coming again with another fake pandemic, and they're coming again to try and profit from the misery of the people, and we must not let that happen. I'm running for the European Parliament one of my main issues would be to put an end to the mass migration, the uncontrolled mass migration into the European Union. It is not necessary and it is not needed, and it is being done deliberately to undermine the nation states and to undermine Western culture. We must not let it happen. In Ireland, we have an opt-out from the European Union migration policy. Under the Lisbon Treaty, we negotiated that we are not part of European Union migration policy, yet we adopted the international protection regime at the time of the Ukrainian war. This has led to a huge number of people coming into this country claiming to be Ukrainians, most of whom are not. Our system is being gamed. The asylum process is being gamed, and we all know it. Everybody knows it. But I will stand up and insist that something is done about it. We must, as Adele said, protect our children from the horrors of pornography in primary schools, from the horrors of gender ideology and trans activism. That all emanates from European Union directives. People may not realise that. That's where it comes from. It comes from the European Union. Within the European Union, I will fight to have those directives brought to an end, and I will fight to protect your children, and I will fight to protect parental rights. We must promote small business. We must promote rural Ireland. We must promote the farming community. We cannot continue to rely on the multinational sector for our economy and on agri-business for the production of our food. We see within the European Union already how productive farmers are under attack. In Holland, they want to take the land off them so that they can house migrants in among the most productive agricultural sectors in the world. They are causing it to be under attack. They want to attack our food supply. They want us to eat insects. Forget it, guys. We're not going to do it. We come from the land of eggs and bacon, and we're going to stay that way. And we must protect freedom of speech. That is another European... The hate speech laws in Ireland, which have caused alarm throughout the world, emanate from European Union directives. If we lose our right to freedom of speech, we will lose our democracy. You cannot have a functioning democracy without the right to freedom of speech, and we will defend that right to freedom of speech with our dying breath. We will not let them take away our right to free speech. Amen. Because without that you have no country and you have no democracy. We will rein in the Green Agenda. The Green Agenda is a byword for communism. Forget the fact that the suggestion that the Greens care about the environment. The only thing they care about is the introduction of mass communism into this country, the expropriation of property, and they're using concern for the environment to promote that agenda. We must bring that to an end. We will protect private property rights. We must rein in the extremism of the Green Agenda. If it is one thing to say we should look for alternative energy sources, and we will do that, but we cannot allow the destruction of our economies in order to promote a zero-carbon agenda in a much too quick transition. That cannot be allowed to continue. It's not necessary. There is no climate crisis. That is a nonsense. Climates have always changed. There is no crisis, and you will not get a serious scientist to say there's a climate crisis. They will say that the climate is changing. They will never tell you that there's a climate crisis. The only people who say that are politicians and RTE journalists. Or we have to rein in the ideology that has taken over our politics. They are not acting in the interests of the people. They don't care about you. If you don't realise that your government doesn't care about you, then you must be blind. The Irish government despises the Irish culture, it despises the Irish nation, and it despises the Irish people. Well, it's time we put them in their place, and we will do so. We must defend Ireland's neutrality, and that's what I promised to do. Ireland is a neutral country, must act as an honest broker between the warring parties in Ukraine and the warring parties in Gaza. It is not our business to take a role or to take a side in that. We are a small neutral country, yet we are being dragged into what looks to be the Third World War. The activities of the European Commission have been disastrous for Europe. They are beating the drums of war unnecessarily. The Ukrainian conflict could have been resolved within a month of its starting with goodwill. And if we as a neutral country had offered ourselves as honest brokers, as a neutral country, which we could have done, we could have played a significant role in bringing that war to an end. That is the role that Ireland should take. Now, you may ask, why should you vote for the Irish Freedom Party? We're a small party, and you may say we don't have a great deal of influence. The fact is, at the moment, 20% of the European Parliament is Eurosceptic. after this election, and there's a huge change coming in Europe. During this election, there's a huge change coming. The majority of European parliamentarians will be Eurosceptic, and we will take power back from the European Commission, which we must do. Ireland must be part of that change. We need to be part of that change. If we're to be at the centre of Europe, we must be Eurosceptic, and we must take power back from the Commission. I believe that June the 7th will be a watershed, not just in Irish, but in European history. There is a real opportunity for change. I see it on the canvas all the time. People are sickened by the politics that we've got. They want an end to it. They want to bring an end to the politics of corruption, deceitfulness, wokery, racism against our own people. They want to bring an end to that politics, and they will bring an end to that politics. You have an opportunity on June the 7th to vote for radical parties, to vote for Melissa O'Neill, to vote for me in the European Parliament elections, and every citizen in this country has an opportunity to vote for a European candidate from the Irish Freedom Party, and I strongly urge you to do so. My name is Michael Leahy. I'm from County Clare. I've been a businessman all my life. I have wide experience in business and management, and I can tell you, if you send me to the European Parliament, the voice of the Irish people will be heard in a way that it has not been heard for many a long year, and I will not take no for an answer. I will represent the Irish people, not the European Union, and I will put the interests of Ireland first. Thank you for listening. I'm asking for your number one vote in June the 7th. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Michael. Michael will be doing a full canvass, as will myself, tomorrow in Tramore. Please join us. We're looking forward to the sea air at this stage, and looking forward to showing Michael the beautiful views of our fabulous southeast region. Unfortunately, those beautiful views are something that they want to take from us. Windmill farms and turbine farms, they literally want to wipe out our marine life, our wildlife, our lobster and crab industry, our small fisheries. So they have plans to destroy the southeast region and actually every coastal area of this, our beautiful area, with windmill farms. You know, your electricity won't be getting cheaper, lads. There's no place in the world where they built a windmill farm where the people of that country's electricity went down. And yet they're going to lease out all our marine land area. There was actually at one stage 73 bids, all foreign, private, corporate companies. Your electricity will not be going down, and through my research worldwide, where these absolute crazy windmill farms are out offshore, they have tripled and tripled and tripled in price, and the people, the taxpayers, end up bailing them out. It's the same thing like we have to bail out RTE. It's the same thing like we have to bail out the banks. Don't have to bail out these private corporate windmill farms when it goes belly up, because it will. And there's evidence worldwide on this. And also, I personally want to stand down in Tramore and not see windmill farms 8 kilometres out from our shores. Do not let them take our beautiful southeast coast. Now I'd like to introduce you to another candidate. He'll introduce himself, of who he's with, and his policies himself. As I said, I am independent, Republican, nationalist, standing from Ferrybank right out to Tramore, so that would, and City West. And this is John Walsh. He has bravely stood up for the Irish people here in Waterford also. John is an amazing man, and I have the highest respect and endorse him fully for this election.
Thanks, Melissa. I want to, first of all, say I admire the courage of Ms. Halligan to come here today to talk. I must say, when I was 6 years of age, I remember coming down the hall one morning, and my father being upset over something. And my father was a very kind man, but something upset him, and he raised his voice against my mother. And I was terribly upset. So any man who perpetuates violence against a woman is totally reprehensible. I was here at my first political meeting, actually at this spot, in 1965. My uncle was running for election for Fine Gael, and the speaker was the outstanding statesman James Dillon, whose father had been with John Redmond. John Redmond represented this city for many years, But John Redmond achieved great things for Waterford, but he also achieved what Daniel O'Connell and Charles Stewart Parnell could not do, and that was to persuade the British government to give us self-government. Now, the 1920 Act was actually that, but of course events in 1916 changed that as well. And it is very disappointing in this city that there is no monument to John Redmond. It's a terrible failure. And we also, Luke Wadding, a great man who achieved so much for Ireland. The last Irish governor before 1921 was the Confederation of Kenny in 1643. He achieved that. He persuaded the Vatican to put St. Patrick's Day in the church calendar, and that's been worth billions to the Irish people. Unfortunately, Luke Wadding was in the centre. We were unique in this city in having not a military man, as it were, as a centre, but a man with a pen. He had a pen in his hand. But they shipped him up a side street, and very few people see him now. So he should be on the main street, so everybody can see him. Now, I'm standing for the Irish People Party, which is a collection, is an umbrella group for independence. And the Irish People Party is one of the nationalist parties. It's one of the, and we're actually asking people to vote for nationalist parties and for independence. But their main policies are the family creation and support, migration, sensible immigration, not open borders. Education should not be indoctrination. Leave the kids alone. The innocence of a child is very precious. And what I've seen is what they're trying to do, they're trying to corrupt children. At the age of 13 and 14, they are physically destroying them in such a way as that they will never be able to have children themselves. And they will end up committing suicide. We need, free speech is vitally important. James Dillon was a great man on that subject, for instance. But we have a situation where a young man is rotting in a cell in Mountjoy because he was prepared to follow his conscience. Having him dismissed from his job was blatant religious discrimination. But, shoving him into prison, he has committed no crime, and he faces life in prison. Remember that, life in prison he faces because he will not back down no matter what they do to him. And as well as that, his poor family are being destroyed. His poor mother has to watch that, and she has been a great defender of him and his brothers and sisters. His mother and his sister went in. His mother and his sisters went into the Church of Ireland Synod, and they were physically attacked. Now, the other policy is neutrality, and Michael spoke very well on neutrality there. Yeah, it is very sad. We were always brokers, peace brokers, because that was our expertise. But by taking sides, we have no quarrel with the people in Russia, but as Michael said, our capacity to be a peace broker has been so much damaged by flying Ukrainian flags all over the place. Anyhow, in regards to rural situations, and I come from a farming background, the farmers feed us. Net zero will starve us. And housing then, house the Irish and not the world. We need housing for our young people. Young people can't start families unless they have houses. I have two sons who are still living at home with us. And they need to have, we put an application in for housing, local housing for them, 15 years ago. They're still in the queue. They'll never get off the queue. And we need to put the Irish first. We need to prioritise our own people. They're our family. Okay, Irish people are the most generous people in the world. We look after genuine refugees, people escaping, violence or famine and so on. But we need to, our compassion must not be abused. Our generosity must not be abused. The government's immigration policies are an absolute shambles. I saw a video today of truckloads of houses coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, when you want to do something, when you want to do a bad deed, you do it in the dark. You do it in the, you know. So, this election, the government got a big shock with the referendum. Remember, nearly 90% of the people, they could not persuade to vote for their proposal. So let's give them another shot. And let's get Aidan Gillick elected, Melissa elected, and Michael Lee is, to me, an outstanding statesman. And we badly need him in the European Parliament. So, au revoir.
Thank you very much, John. John is your candidate here in Waterford that will stand up and be a very strong voice in the local council. And John is running in Waterford East. And, you know, thank you very much. There's one more thing before we go. There's a group of people called The Who. And we know, as I call them, the World Hoax Organisation. We cannot and must not, Ireland, hand over any control to the World Hoax Organisation. They are not in our interest. And when you constantly hear it's for the good of the people, it's for the good of them, not the people. These are a very greedy bunch of people. And if Ireland sign up to this WHO treaty, thankfully many, many countries are showing them up for what they are. And believe you me, they will try and pull another lockdown. And if they get the power, they can call a pandemic at any time and turn vaccinations into mandatory and destroy every man, woman and child on this country, on our beautiful era. These people are terrorists. World Hoax Organisation. Ireland says no, and we mean it. And here's a message to Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, people before puberty that want to push the sexual education on our children. No is no. From Waterford, no is no.
Well done,